4.5 years. His burning desire is to, and he puts, attend a Redskins Super Bowl someday.
Good luck.
It might not be this year. Something no one knows about
Oh, man. I don't even watch football like
Something
that.
no one knows about Bo is, in keeping with the theme of the rotator cuff surgery, this was his 4th surgery in the last 6 years.
Oh,
He had both Achilles and his other rotator cuff operated on. And his key to success is taking action. BoBowling.
See Dr. Kathy, preventatives up there. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit what I do, but just I like to make an open forum because anyone that has a general question about investments or financial planning and stuff, it's usually a good topic just to kind of answer a question. It might be interesting for someone else that has it on their mind too. So, but basically what I do, meet with the client, meet with the client, sit down with them and just get to know them, get to know me, find out their financial concerns, financial goals, what's really important to them. And from there, we come up with a plan. And I kind of say, I might jump around here and stuff, but I give an analogy of like what people should do with their money, kind of 3 buckets. And the first bucket is just, hey, your monthly budget. You're paying mortgage, rent, gas, groceries, just your monthly budget bill. The second bucket is maybe something that money is earmarked for like 6 months to 2 years out because we got to treat that differently. The balance is really important. It could be a child going to college. It could be a down payment on a house. It could be a trip, a new car. And that balance needs to stay intact. And as we all know, the market can be very volatile in over a 6 months or even 2 year period because back in 2008, 2009, if someone had a child going off to college, they didn't earmark that and they still kept it in the market, they just lost 50% of that balance. So that's kind of that second bucket there. Now the third bucket is usually when I talk with the client, their concern or goals is retirement, could be college education for their kids, living in retirement. But anyways, it's something maybe more longer term, and I think we all need to plan for longer term. So that third bucket is something that maybe is longer than 2 years out, I say 5 to 10, and even longer. In that third bucket, by doing it over a longer period of time, that can take a lot of the risk out of the market because I can show you a track record and investing in the market, any 10-year period, you're going to turn out really well. So does that kind of make sense there? Don't fret the market. The market is a great investment place, and I can show track numbers. So like over the last 86 years, the market has gone up, let me think, I haven't said these numbers lately, but I just carry it here. It's gone up 62 times and only down 24 times, and it's averaged about 9.8%. During the course of the year, though, the market will go down 44% of the time and up 56. So every 5 months out of the year, you're going to see a negative return in the market. But in the long run, it's going to be positive, and the larger increases are, bigger than obviously the downturns. So the downturns. So when I meet with someone, let's determine, we figure out what's important to you and your goals. All right, now let's figure out your kind of risk tolerance, your capacity. How much risk are you willing to take? We have a 6 questionnaire here that kind of determines your risk, and then we kind of come up with a number here, and then we kind of see where you are in your life. Maybe you're a young person in your 20s, or maybe you're someone in your 60s, so that risk can kind of correlate to a little bit different how much risk capacity you can take. So if that makes sense. So if you're younger, you're willing to take a lot more risk, if that makes sense. So then we take that, and I say 3 premises of basic investing is 1, get good, solid quality investments at low cost. 2 is to diversify. And when you think of diversify, you think like, hey, you just don't want to be all in technology. You just don't want to be in healthcare. You just don't want to be in financials. There's 9 sectors out there, so you want to be in all of them. But then another way of diversification, which people don't know about, and this is kind of where we put our plan together, is there's different objectives. You can be kind of very conservative with like income, which would be CDs, money market, and bonds. And then the next step up is what we call growth and income. And that's kind of companies that they take their earnings and revenues and they're willing to pay out more of a dividend back to the shareholder. And then growth would be those companies that say, we're not so concerned about the shareholder, we're taking the money, we're putting it back into the company, and we're trying to grow our company, and then we grow the stock price, but again, they're not paying out a dividend there. And the last objective would be aggressive. And that would be things like international, emerging markets, yeah, taking a little bit more chance. So we want to diversify in all those things, if that kind of makes sense. And I kind of say right now, the bond market, bonds work with interest rates. So since the 1980s, interest rates have come down from the teens. And that's been a great run for the bonds. Well, where are the interest rates right now? They're at the rock solid bottom historical records. There's only one place for them to go. And they've started eking up a little bit. And here in the next couple of years, as interest rates come up, bonds aren't going to perform as well. So if someone's doing all this on their own, if they're very heavily weighted in that fixed income and bonds, yeah, it's going to be a bumpy ride. So we might want to say it might be a little bit more exposure and risk, but let's get into this growth and income because I think you're going to lose money in bonds here over the next several years. That kind of makes it. So that's the diversification sector and also your objective. You kind of want to have some conservative stuff and some aggressive stuff. You just don't want to be in one thing. And the last thing is time in the market. It's not so much timing the market, it's time in the market. No one has a crystal ball. I've had one client that was really concerned with the government shutdown and how the market was falling. I might just give it some time. As soon as we come out with a resolution, it's going to shoot right back up. And that's what it's done. And it's even shot further back up. So just come up with your plan, stay the course, and if we know that third bucket is for long-term investing, it mitigates the risk. Just stay with it. Does anybody have any questions or anything right now? And with that diversification, we kind of say diversification is a conscious decision that you're not going to make a killing, but you're not going to get killed. So we kind of refer to this as the jelly bean chart. You kind of see it? And you just kind of look at in the middle there, you see the black is pretty consistent all the way through the middle. You kind of see the black color? Well, that's a diversified portfolio. So up top here, over the last 20 years, if you were kind of investing just in commodities or international, again, that's kind of like the emerging markets, kind of taking chances with some, I say, riskier companies, upstarts, and international. Over the last 20 years, you had the top returns between those two things, commodities being like gold or some oil along those lines. Over those 20 years, it finished in the top 13 of the times, but finished also in the bottom 2 in 11 of those times. So there, talking about a roller coaster of a ride, you'd be feast or famine. Most people don't like that. They like the steady, good, diversified plan. And that's kind of like going along with my job is to put a good, solid, diversified plan for a client. Yeah, John?
What do you think about the BoBowling theory, which is being in index funds all the time?
The what?
What do you think about the BoBowling theory, which is mainly being an index?
S&P 500 index. I will do 100%, 100 times what's best for a client. S&P 500 index fund is not bad. You know, I think you can do pretty well there. Because I'll show numbers where I've talked about where some financial advisors charge that annual fee. I've said kind of before, if anyone's charging that annual fee, if you're doing what we call like advisory solutions where you're paying 1% up to 2% based on your asset, whatever you have with them, that's not the way to go. And speaking as a financial advisor, that's just setting up residual income for the advisor. It's not unethical, but so I say you got that, and then you got the S&P 500, and then what I put together is I'm pretty sure I say 99 times out of 100, I'll beat the S&P 500. That's my job. And one of the things that we look at with that is just think of a x-axis and a y. In X, you have volatility and risk, okay? That's your risk. How much is a risky investment? And then the Y-axis is your return. 2 minutes? Okay. So with this, you can see if you're taking more risk and your return is low, that's bad. You're in a bad quadrant over here. So think of a quadrant here. So you're bad over here. You would think if you took less risk and you got less return down this lower quadrant, that makes sense. But then if you're taking more risk and you get a higher return, that kind of makes sense. But you would actually love to be in this upper left-hand quadrant where you're taking less risk, but you're getting a better return. That kind of makes sense there. Let me just kind of finish up here. Just some stuff that I kind of was just recently here in the USA Today. And it's a sign of just how bleak retirement prospects have gotten. More than a third of Americans say they will have to work until they literally can't anymore. A new Wells Fargo study found that 37% of people don't ever expect to retire, but instead have to work until I'm sick or die. Saying paying monthly bills is the highest priority, and that saving for retirement is a distant second. In this survey, middle-class Americans between the age 25 and 75 were polled, and I'll just kind of go through here, and he sums it up by half the survey respondents said that they would be confident that they would have enough retirement. The good news is we saw the difference that having a financial plan makes. If they had a plan, they saved 3 times more than they did without a plan. And I guess that kind of sums up what my job is to put a solid plan together for the client that meets their goals and concerns and can bring a return in the big picture. And basically, yeah, this says it here. Everyone needs a plan regardless of their income level. That's where I said I'll work with anyone that has an estate planning concern or goal, to anyone that's like willing to put $50 away a month. So, how much time we got there? That's about it. All right. Well, I appreciate it.